Mid-sword, only legendary that's really required for that is Albert. And everything else, you know, golds or just bronzes or silvers. So, like, that's another deck I would look at. And I do agree on the rune, though. I do definitely agree with that because D-Shift is an incredibly cheap deck to build. So, yeah, I agree with that 100%.
Incredibly hard, though. So if you're a new player, be prepared to dedicate some time to it.
There you guys have
definitely.
it. So we are going to see Nephthys Shadow once again on Akai's side, and kind of a more mid-rangey Shadow on Sizouney's side. So this is the clash of the century. Which Shadowcraft deck will come out on top? Take it away, guys.
All right. So, well, I would just say, like, right now, not really much is going to be happening in this early game.
Nope. Both decks are aiming to draw a ton of cards, essentially, and get to the late game. Now, I've never really seen this new matchup play out, like new mid-Shadow versus basically old Nephthys. Because new Shadow doesn't get a lot of early damage in, and it doesn't really finish with Phantom Hell anymore, which used to be the way that you beat Nephthys. So this might actually be skewed the other way now. It might be that Nephthys is actually favored in this matchup because it has a better endgame. What do you think, Aya?
I think I have to agree with that. Like, and especially since Akai is on the play, he's going to be able to get to his Kawi. He's going to be able to get to his Nephthys on 8, just like very well. He's got plenty of removal for like. He's got the Lurching Corpse right now with the Soul Conversion. He has the Pact with the Nether God. So he's definitely going to be sitting in a very good place. This game is going to go really slow.
Yes, and I think that favors Akai, right? Being the Nephthys player because he just has Mordecai. Mordecai is like the big guy that's like, I don't really care what you do. Ektar, laugh. Like, what are you going to Ektar into my Mordecai? Now I'm just going to clear your board and then just keep pushing. So I think this matchup is definitely skewed the other way now, which is interesting. I hadn't really thought about this matchup because mid-Shadow has been the thing that's been taking over, you know, the game. But Nephthys might be the new kid in town. Slash old man in town.
Well, historically, if I remember correctly, Nephthys was used as a counter in the last format, even though it wasn't used as much because it had worse matchups overall, but it was used as a counter for some people against mid-Shadow.
That's true. Because of the endgame, like playing things like Death's Breath into things like Mordecai and Kawi is just big stall tactics, and regular mid-Shadow can't outvalue Mordecai. It plays no banish, it plays nothing that can get around it. It literally just has to play into the card, and just much like we've seen Polyphonic Roar in seasons past, Mordecai acts in a very similar way. It's just this Polyphonic Roar that sits on the table that you just have to deal with. And most of the time, that doesn't happen.
Well, Sizouney's got all the Necro Assassins he could ask for. Because you can only have 3 of them, but he's got 3 of them. So, I mean, what do you do here? Like, do you just play a Bone Chimera, evolve it into the zombie, and pass? Like, that's what it looks like.
I mean, that's really it. Like, he needs to save the zombie party to get value out of it. Could Evo the Soul Squasher. I probably would have saved the Soul Squasher, but then again, there's not really a lot of shadows to work with. He only has 4. So this is just, this is not looking good for Sizouney right now. Like, he's going to come into a couple Bellringer Angels right now. Just drew the Nephthys. Perfect draw for 7. So now it doesn't even matter. Now Akai doesn't care if his board dies. He just wants to draw cards and just prolong the game, get those Mordecais out, and then just finish. And with Akai
right
still
here,
being at 18, it's very easy.
Yeah, and right here is just, he can just go face. He doesn't even have to trade with anything. He doesn't even have the Evo. He can just go face, you know, and...
Oh, wow. And the Foul Tempest has all the counter cards to the classic matchup.
Yeah, that Ektar is not really doing anything.
Nope. And you don't say that very often.
Yeah, that's not a sentence that usually comes out of your mouth. You know, Ektar's not doing anything.
Yeah, this'll be an easy Foul Tempest. Probably, I don't know. He might go Demon Eater Evo into the Bone Chimera just to get rid of everything. Nope, just goes with the Nephthys play. Okay.
That's fine. So, oh man, the value right now.
Yeah.
Excellent value.
However,
but he didn't Evo to take out any of the cards on board.
This allows Ektar to be pretty potent this turn.
Yeah.
However, this is the one window. This is pretty much it.
Yeah. This is the window. And he gave him this window. He didn't actually. Oh man. Yeah, I think he messed up by not clearing his board.
I think
that was
like
really
Foul Tempest was just a really easy play because you have your endgame in tow, and you don't really need to be that forceful with it. However, I think that even Foul Tempest now into some, it's still fine. Yeah. Especially if he knows that Sizouney doesn't have a Phantom Howl to worry about. He just now maintains board control with this Mordecai and doesn't have to worry about anything anymore.
Right. We haven't seen any Phantom Howls. We haven't seen anything like that. Fortunately for Akai, he's not going to get heavily punished or really punished at all for, his greed. But right. That could have actually gone really badly.
It could have, yes.
That's a good death breath, though.
The funny thing about Mordecai, for those of you who don't know, it turns all of these things on, like the soul conversions, the demon eaters. Like, I know you've seen it, like kind of what the players have been doing it, but like, it really just makes all of those cards just free now. Like, you don't have to worry about setting up boards for it anymore, which is very potent endgame for a control deck. Just being able to draw a ton of cards with no downside that it normally has.
Not to mention, he's still sitting. Akai's still sitting on an Evo point, and he's been sitting on that Evo. He's been hugging that Evo point, man. He's like, I'm not using it. It's not happening. Stop asking, Yep. And he's gonna clean this board up pretty good. He's gonna hit face and probably soul conversion his Mordecai to just get even more advantage.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I don't know what Sizouney can do here, man.
Without Phantom Howl, I don't think that Mid Shadow can beat Nephthys if it draws like this.
Right.
Because it's never going to be able to get the board back. Yeah, it really did.
He got another Death's Breath.
Into yet another Foul Tempest.
Yeah. This is game. It's definitely game. So
Foul
he's
Tempest,
gonna play the
another
Foul
one
Tempest.
of those Mirror Breaker cards.
Yup. Oh man, that was devastating.
Oh my, 1-0 Akai over Sizouney. Talk a little bit about Foul Tempest. Why? Do you think that was a very conscious decision for Akai to include because he foresaw so much Shadow would be represented in today's tournament? Is that a safe assumption to make?
Absolutely. Foul Tempest is just an anti-aggro card, and if you're playing a control deck and you expect to play against a bunch of aggro, throw a card in that can wipe the board. Feels good, man.
And so now Akai is left with, I believe, okay, it's going to be his Havencraft deck, and we'll see how this fares against Sizouney's Shadow. He's going to take another run at this mid-range Shadow, and we talked about how aggro is a little bit more advantaged in this matchup in many ways. Do you still feel like this is the case based on the kind of intricacies that Sizouney has included in his Shadowcraft deck, Exo?
So I really just think that this is going to play out like a normal matchup. There's not like any hidden tricks really. It's just both players are going to be playing their more like impactful cards on the turns that they can play them, and whoever basically finds themselves above the rubble after all of the cards have been traded into is going to find success here.
Zombie Party cleaning up the Hound so that he doesn't have anything to trade with into his 2-drop. That's a very great play. Now, he does have the Priest of the Cudgel Akai. He has the Priest of the Cudgel for next turn. So, Sizouney does run Phantom Howl.
Oh, okay. So he did have outs there. He could have Serb into Phantom Howl, just didn't have enough time. Didn't draw his Phantom Howl at all. So definitely did have a way to win that game then. So that window was actually very scary that Akai left open. But
yeah,
that game's in the past now.
Yeah. It's just, wow, he actually did run it. Okay, moving on. So he's opting to just take some more damage, which is fine here, actually. As he is not necessarily under, you know, any really huge threat of damage. Oh, I mean, he's about to take 4 to his face right now, though. But Priest of the Cudgel still clears up pretty good. He does get the bird.
Yep. And we're seeing how Phantom Howl in hand actually changes plays. So had that Phantom Howl not been in the hand of Sizouney, I really doubt he would have evoed the Soul Squasher and gone face with it. I don't think that would have been the play. There's just not really a reason to do that unless you're trying to end the game, which Phantom Howl definitely can do. Especially with an Odile next turn. And Odile's looking pretty saucy here.
Yeah. Odile's gonna put in some W-O-R-K, okay? Work. I had to spell it out just to let you know that's how much work it's about to put in.
This is you know what? Odile's changing a little bit in my mind now. I've never seen Odile as like that good, but in this new format where Dark Johns are good again, and you know the 2 damage is relevant again, you know, Odile seems pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely cool. But he's about to probably stare down this Garuda, will pop this Beast Call Aria, so
that's pretty strong play.
Yeah, it's a pretty good play. I don't really see a reason for him not to do this line of play. Use the bird, trade into the Odile, have 2 4/4s in play.
Yep. He could be considering the March Hares this turn, but yeah, there's just no reason. Take the board.
All right. Yep. And then the... Well, there's Ektar.
Perfect raw. Yeah, I mean, Ektar is a great card here, but like he can literally just set up lethal by playing Serb here.
True.
Serb into Phantom Howl with the Evo point is just lethal already.
Yeah, and like Akai currently in hand does not have a way of performing lethal from 17. So the most he will do will be what is it? It's 11 damage with the Evo point 13. So
and that's game. No wards on the side of Akai, so Sizouney masterfully understanding the interaction between Serb, Phantom Howl, and Evo points, and took the chance.
Yep. He rolled the dice.
Granted, if you looked at Akai's list and didn't see any wards, there's not really a better play he could have made. So heads up play anyway, though.
Very true. So it trades into the serve. These go face, but he's still dead.
Yeah.
Well, let's see. Yeah, he's definitely dead.
100% dead. He's got 11 damage.
Yep. That's the one thing you don't want to see.
Yeah.
That's the other.
It's like, what's happening? Stop it. Oh, he's doing it the fancy way. I get it.
Oh, man. Okay. He decided to...
Oh, come on, bro.
Man.
Sizouney, come on. Make you think you have hope until the last second.
Hey, what happened? I thought Sizouney showed respect. I guess it really is against your teammate.
Yeah.
Against your teammate, you know, BM. Against everybody else, you just start styling on them, man. Sizouney just
pulls out the window.
Sizouney took a lap around the arena, you know, got up on the ropes, you know, beat his chest a little bit, and then did the flying elbow drop, and just, man, took that first game on Akai. So, talk to me a little bit about how that played out. Now, obviously, Phantom Howl, incredibly strong. It's basically like a 4 to 5 damage-ish storm in most situations. What can Akai expect moving forward here now that he's facing Rune with his Havencraft deck? Does he have a good matchup here? Is he well positioned to kind of come back and close it out?
Well, it's hard to say. I mean, again, this comes down to what Sizouney's draws are. And he does have the Kaleidoscopic Glow, so that's very good against the Beast Call Aria that's there. So that's going to be like massive tempo loss for Akai. So, and he drew another one.
I'll go out on a limb and say that I have never lost a game playing Conjuring Force against the Haven deck. I feel like the matchup is like 90-10. It's like so hard, especially when you have Kaleidoscopic Glows to stop the aggression. And as you see, he didn't use the Kaleidoscopic Glow immediately. he's going to wait until Akai forms a game plan around that Beast Call Aria popping, and then just swip it off the board, like maybe even next turn. He doesn't even have to do it now unless he doesn't have a better option, which he doesn't. So,
well, he could do it now because he may want to prevent his opponent from drawing, say, a Hollow Dogma to pop it, and then he will not be able to use it. So,
yeah, it's a hard matchup because Haven plays to the board really well, but it can't really stop the plan that Conjuring Force has. It has no removal for Conjuring Force. It has no mass removal besides Dark John, if there is Dark Johns in Akai's deck, to stop the mass flooding of the snowmen. And again, like we saw, the Kaleidoscopic Lows just hurt the tempo of Haven so much.
Yeah, not having the ability to pop your Beast Call Arias on 5 against a deck like Conjuring Force, really at all, against any rune deck, is just painful.
Yep. And look at just the damage that's already been dealt. Like, this is just super swinging in the favor of Sizouney already. Didn't ban the Conjuring Force. We told you. We told you to do it, Akai.
We did. But he can trade out the board, and so he does have clear board. So he does have that.
He does have that, but another Levi plus Piercing Rune in hand, plus a Fate's Hand to refill, and another Glow.
Oh. Oh my goodness.
Oh my goodness. I feel bad
man.
for Akai. Whenever you're a Haven player and you've experienced Kaleidoscopic Lows and you've pounded your hands into your desk after doing it like time after time after time, you know what Akai's feeling like right now.
Yeah. And as an avid Haven player, I feel your pain, brother. Like, I feel your pain. But, oh my goodness, Sizouney, he's got death in hand, right?
This is already dead, yeah. He's got the Piercing Rune plus Blade Mage for 6 damage by itself. Not even accounting for Enchanted Sword or Rhymewind tricks later, like, doesn't matter.
Yep.
But like I said, this matchup is so heavily skewed in Rune's favor that I don't believe I've ever seen Conjuring Force lose to Haven.
Yeah. And the sad part of it is we have yet to see him play a Conjuring Force.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't even matter. That's how little the card matters now. I'll give you one anecdote, and I played against Unlucker Dog, which I'm sure you guys remember. I was playing a game against Unlucker Dog where he was playing Aegis Haven and I was playing this deck, Conjuring Force. He was at 18, had a full board with a ward, and I lethaled him with nothing in play. Is what Conjuring Force can do against Haven, so you're never safe.
Well, Sizouney just put lethal to Akai here and reset the bracket, so I definitely expect Akai to come back in this new, in the second best of 3 and ban that rune.
Yeah.
Ban it.
Yeah.
Ban that rune. Do it.
Yeah. You can't leave it up, man. Can't.
I think it's so interesting to think about now. We have some time here as Sizouney sets himself up to take a first place finish, but Akai is going to be cashing in on his slight advantage here coming on winner's side, and this is why I think it's super tough, because in a single elimination, or if Sizouney was on winner's end, this would be done, right? There's no room for you to learn from your mistake, you know? You can't change your band, you just lose to Rune. But now, Akai has an opportunity. He can try and make it work, right? What do you think if you're forced to play Shadow? I guess that really leaves the game up to honesty, right? I mean, I guess all you have left is you just got to play the cards as they are. The matchups don't seem super kind of favored in one side or the other with the remaining decks, I don't think. Yeah. So what's interesting to me here, obviously, we're down to the wire. Do you change your mind for who you think is going to take the tournament? I know both of you kind of went for Sizouney, but no, nobody changed their mind. Nobody thinks so. Even you, after you think Akai is going to ban Rune, you still don't change your mind.
I don't.
I think he has a higher chance, but I think I'm still going.
You don't think he's going to ban Rune? After that?
I think the reason why Sizouney is in the place he's in right now is because everybody's like, Shadow's his best deck. What does he play in this stupid Rune deck? And then they're just getting massacred by this Rune deck. He just literally flew through the entire tournament getting to play his best deck, and nobody even knew. They weren't any the wiser. Maybe even at this point, Akai thinks that this rune deck is just like, whatever, I need to ban Shadow. You know what I mean? We'll see.
Do you think that even with a player like Shadow Shadet in the loser's end, because he seemed to be playing around Conjuring Force pretty well, so he must be somewhat aware of the deck. Do you think even he should have banned Conjuring Force?
Absolutely.
I think
every
that
time,
should have been banned.
ban that deck.
100%.
All right. Well,
100%.
If there is a cursed deck, then what is the opposite of a cursed deck? The blessed one?
A blessed deck. And that's Conjuring Force.
Conjuring Force, the blessed.
Down, you know, the lights beaming on it. You hear the music. You know,
we're making it a true fact right now.
Well, I would imagine that the blessed deck would be some Havencraft-oriented deck, but apparently not. I mean, it just got uncursed too. We'll see. So we're about to jump into our final best of 3 here between Akai and Sizouney. And apparently, Aya Senpai and Exodium, I don't know if they received dollar bills in their pockets. I don't know what happened, but they still think Sizouney is ready to go and ready to take the tournament win. So let's see the second time around. Will Rune be banned? Find out on the next episode. At least this episode of the Shadowverse Open. All right, guys, take it away.
All right.
Okay, well, we do see Shadow now, so Rune, you know, Akai got the heads up.
He's like, okay. I believe now. No more Conjuring Force.
So opening hand looks very strong for Sizouney. Has the especially now got the 2-drop to fill out the curve. The scripture is going to play a pivotal role here. It's just, what is that scripture going to hit? Is it going to have to hit the Lurching Corpse because there's no other play on 2? Or can it wait for the turn 3 play, which is where you really want to save your scripture?
I think since he doesn't actually have, like, Akai doesn't really have a 3 play right now. Or I guess he does now. If he didn't draw the Divine Bird song, I would have said that holding the Black Inscripture for 3 would have been a much better choice.
But now he's just going to have to deal with on-curve Shadow shenanigans. Without any card draw, though. We're seeing Sizouney not have the combo pieces here. No Soul Conversions, no Demon Eaters. Never mind.
Oh, never mind.
Never mind.
All right, so he got that. He gets the 4/4 Lich. He got a 2/2. He's got a board here.
Yeah. And we're seeing a lot of the Shadow players in this tournament actually be very heads up against Haven in the fact that they're getting rid of their really strong Last Words minions by themselves without allowing them to get to the banished turns for Priest of the Cudgel and Black Inscription and things like that. So our Shadow players are on point today.
It's a very wise thing to do. I mean, to be completely honest, like, what would be better than that? I mean, you don't want to be giving because you want to build shadows. So you killing your own stuff just makes sense. So that you can build your shadows for later in the game, and so your opponent can't prevent you from activating your effects.
Right. And in a normal matchup without Banish, those shadows are going to happen regardless. But against Haven, they can be taken away with the Banish because when you banish a card, no shadow is generated. Which is actually one of Haven's biggest strengths against Shadow, is just denying the shadows for big plays like Soul Squasher and things like that. But Demon Eater changes the pace of that and allows you to break your things and yada yada, as we've been seeing it unfold right now.
Yeah, and right now, Sizouney is in a dominating position right now.
Yes.
He can,
Yes.
I mean, he can pretty much just fall asleep and still win this game at this point because this game is pretty locked up, man. It's looking pretty strong.
Does give him some play though. It does give him a little bit.
A little bit of play, for sure, but unfortunately though, like, Sizouney is still sitting on a massive amount of pressure. He's also sitting on 2 zombie parties for the following turn, so he's going to continue to build boards. And we already know, and we can already see, that even if he... Oh, wow, that was a great draw, by the way.
That was great. Yes. That actually kept him in the game here.
Yeah. Well, completely disregard everything I just said before now. That Priest of the Cudgel he showed up in the nick of time.
Yep. Card we were talking about a little earlier finally showed up to the party to do what it does best and get rid of the sweet last word effects that Shadow has access to.
Yep. Now, of course, if Sizouney top decks an Ektar, game's over.
Yep. Ektar, Cerberus, a lot of different cards to be drawn.
Anything, yeah.
But even without those things, Zombie Party enhanced 2 turns in a row, probably enough to tilt those dominoes over.
Yeah. There's no board wipes in this deck that we've seen. We've basically went through every card in this guy's deck, and we've seen no board wipes.
Staggering lack of Dark Johns today. I know we've seen them, but not in every Haven deck at the moment.
Yeah.
Which I think you should be packing if you're expecting to play against Shadow.
Yeah, I think that the lack of Dark John is a massive mistake.
Mm-hmm.
And it's definitely showing right now the mistake of not having Dark John. There's no way he can clear this damage.
Yeah, this is it.
Yeah.
Just didn't get the right cards in the right order. Plus being on the draw against Shadow when it draws like this. Now that Demon Eater top deck, again, a lot of these matches are coming down to just like a role-playing turn. Like that top deck Demon Eater really set the pace for Sizouney's turns. Without that Demon Eater, he'd still be sitting there with almost no cards in hand, no relevant plays, all that kind of stuff. So, interesting.
Sizouney continues to move on. And it seems like the prophecies are coming true. Sizouney is well slated to take first place in this final week of qualifiers. Akai's in trouble. Akai is in trouble. Yeah. Do you think more people should be bringing the deck set that Sizouney has? What do you think is even smart to bring to face up against kind of this 3-deck lineup that Sizouney is packing? Rune, Shadow, and Blood. Maybe Exo first.
Sure. So you need to be anti-aggro to a T if you want to beat these, which is not what we're seeing. We're seeing a lot of mid-range and aggro decks face up against each other. And in order to punish that, you need to know exactly what you're going to be playing against. And the one big wild card to that, again, is Conjuring Force. You can't really prepare for it. It's a really hard deck to pilot. It's a really hard deck to really know what to do against because it's kind of like D-Shift, but it deals damage as opposed to just winning in one turn. But life gain. Like, for instance, if somebody was bringing Alana Haven, I think it would be doing phenomenally well against these decks so far that we've been seeing, that Sizouney's been putting forward. Like the Aggro Blood, like even this deck right here. Like I said, Haven is a really good matchup for it, but Alana Haven specifically can out-heal the damage that Rune can deal. So basically, something just to break all of this aggro up and not just play aggro into it, because that's what Conjuring Force likes to feed on, essentially.
And amazingly enough, Akai let Conjuring Force through again.
Yep. Didn't learn his lesson, and probably might pay the price. So the funny thing about this matchup is, especially against Nephthys, is that it's just like a really slow, clunky Haven deck against Conjuring Force, where it doesn't really do anything that Conjuring Force cares about for 6, 7, 8 turns, and Conjuring Force can just set up its endgame. And again, it has no way to deal with Conjuring Force itself, which hasn't seen play yet, but might finally come into play this game. We'll see.
Well, one of the things that we're seeing right now, since this is going to be a much slower matchup, because Nephthys is, you're talking like very far into the late game, there's no damage to really threaten Sizouney, really. So
that's true.
Because of that, like, he can just take his sweet time. He can just go, okay, we're going to set up these cards, and then when I'm ready to kill you, you're dead, you know? So, however...
I mean, realistically...
go ahead.
I was just going to say, realistically, just think of it like a D-Shift deck that just has different options in the mid-game. Like, it can actually deal with aggro, and it doesn't need to set up a full combo to beat you. Like, it doesn't need to have D-Shifts in its hand. It can just naturally draw its cards in an order that will just allow it to win. And it still plays out kind of like D-Shift against slower decks in the fact that it's got spell boost cards. It's got things that it can build into just to take massive board advantage whenever it feels like Sizouney wants to pull the trigger. Because he can do it whenever he wants to.
Can I just say wow on that Necro Assassin hit?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
That was wow.
Winning the lottery.
Yeah, this man is rolling the right dice. So we're sitting here with, he got a Piercing Rune. He could clear that the Bellringer off if he wants. He could Evo to do that. I don't know if he really should Evo here. Again, he's not really sitting under a ton of pressure. He may want to clear off the Necro Assassin though. So,
right. The biggest role players in this game, honestly, are going to be the Kawis. And Akai has access to all of his Kawis. So Kawi, basically for the reason that Rune's going to try to get in as much damage as possible, and these Kawis need to be there in order to fight with the life gain, essentially. Like I was saying with Lana Haven, where you have some heal, this is kind of the only way to push back. But this draw is just absurd that Sizouney has.
The onkers. Okay? Yeah. Wow.
Absurd.
What a...
That actually might just be it next turn, because Kawi's going to come down. It won't immediately be able to die, and then there's a Rhyme Wind to bounce it back to hand. So I think this is just it already. Don't ban Rune get mushed by this Rune.
His draws have been absurd.
Absurd, yeah.
Ridiculous draws. This Kawi is doing the sum total of 0 right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
0 things. Oh my lord.
So,
I am so happy for Sizouney right now, because he is playing the best deck of all time and showing how omnipotent it is.
Yeah, this game is wrapped up. Get out of here, Kawi.
Oh my god, Sizouney. And I guess you guys weren't kidding. I thought you were lying to me this whole time.
No, sir.
Oh
No
my
way,
god.
man.
Sizouney, all the way from the loser's end of the bracket, wins everything to now grab first place. Let's take a look at the bracket to see what the day is.